Good evening to one and all. Welcome you all to the daily Indian Express newspaper analysis for the date 26th October 2023, brought to you by Ganesh IAS Academy. Okay, let's get into the today's newspaper analysis. Mentioned in this slide are the upcoming articles which we are going to have the analysis in the today's session. Have a look at it. Okay, let's get into the today's newspaper analysis one by one. New made in India's charging standard, how this could push the electric vehicle adoption. See, the Bureau of Indian Standards has approved recently the indigenously developed alternative current as well as direct currents combined charging connector standard for light electric vehicle. The new standards has been created because of the prevailing disjointed electric adapters as well as the electric vehicle charging ports that is prevailing across the country, which is creating inconvenience as well as hesitance among the consumers to adopt the electric vehicles. See, like in the case of the mobile phones, where the Android phones are mostly using the C-port charger, as well as in the case of Apple phone, the lightning chargers have been used. So, despite both of them being a mobile phone, the port or the charger which is used to charge those mobiles is different with each other. So that an Android mobile phone user could not able to use the chargers of the Apple phone users could not able to use the chargers of Android. So is the case of electric vehicle. The manufacturers of electric vehicle are using different ports for different electric vehicles which they are producing. As a result of which, the interoperability between the electric charges of the electric vehicle is very difficult in the day-to-day scenario. To overcome this such kind of inconvenience that it has caused to the consumers, which in turn is leading to lack of adaptation of the electric vehicle by the consumer, Bureau of Indian Standards came with this kind of method. Secondly, by making the common standard across the charging port, we could able to minimize the e-waste that is happening across India because of this kind of disjointed charging system that is prevailing. So this is what the benefit of the uniform standard charging standard which was recently approved by Bureau of Indian Standards for the electric vehicle manufactured in India. So what is the current situation? What standards does the electric vehicles are following is, even though the policy is saying or advising to the electric vehicle manufacturer to use the common standards in terms of electric charges, but it is not mandating it is only in the form of recommendatory, so that the electric vehicles are making charges according to their own convenience to maximize their profit rather than making it convenient for the common consumers so that they could able to easily adapt themselves to the electric vehicles. See, the electric vehicle makers, as I said, not mandated to follow the standards of the charging connectors which was mandated by the policy. Secondly, as I said, all electric vehicles charging have their own standard, so that it is creating a disjointed standards in terms of charging, so that it is very difficult for the public charging infrastructure to cater to each and every electric vehicles. And each and every electric vehicles will have different charging standards. But in the case of the public charging stations, they have only the common standards where they could be able to charge only certain type of vehicle which is in line with their charging station. They could not able to cater to different kinds of chargings of the electric vehicles. And if in order to overcome this, if the consumer is trying to carry an adapter with him, means it is also a kind of inconvenient only, because it is not possible for a consumer or the customer to carry the adapter at every time and everywhere, wherever he goes. So globally, in China uses national standards for electric vehicle charging connector called GB per T, and in the case of US there is no such a kind of common standard for the electric chargers. So the private players are now cooperating with themselves to form the private player in the US are cooperating with themselves to form the common standard for the electric chargers within themselves, so that they could be able to increase the efficiency, convenience and the adaptability of the electric vehicles, and also at the same time to reduce the e-waste that is produced because of the electric vehicle. And they are also in negotiations with the policy makers in the US to overcome such kind of disjointed policy in terms of chargings of electric vehicles. So this is what the analysis in relation to the standards which was fixed by Bureau of Indian Standards for the charging in electric vehicles is about. So what need to be studied further is, we should know about what is electric vehicle policy of India is. Secondly, we should also know about the FAME scheme, which was implemented by Ministry of Heavy Industries to increase the adaptation of the electric vehicles across the customers. Secondly, lithium ion battery and hydrogen battery. So these are all the other areas which we needed to be aware of. Center approves rupees 22,303 crore fertilizer subsidy for rabi season. See, the rabi season is going to begin. So as a part of it, the center has approved a certain amount of money, which we have seen in the headlines, for the farmers in the form of the fertilizer subsidy. The fertilizer subsidy will be given based on the nutrients, which includes nitrogen, potash, phosphorus as well as sulfur, to compensate for the price rise that has happened because of the volatile domestic as well as the global economic scenario. And what does this nutrient based subsidies about? See, the fertilizers will be provided with the subsidy if the nutrients that has been combined inside the fertilizer is according to the standard set by the government. Such kind of fertilizer only will be eligible for the subsidy being given by the government. So why the government is going for nutrient based subsidies? That first and foremost that it will be increasing the soil health, because of the heavy usage of the nitrogen based urea excessively in the soil. It leads to soil degradation, as well as it is affecting the ecosystem as a whole, which in turn is reducing the nutrients that is absorbed in the crops, which in turn is producing the nutrient deficiency across the population of the country who are consuming the agricultural products. So to overcome this kind of negative things, the nutrient based subsidy was introduced, so that the increased adaptation of fertilizers based on the nutrients will be made across the farmers, so that this kind of nutrient based fertilizer will have positive impact on the soil health, which in turn will have positive impact on the uptake of nutrient in the crops. So similarly, it will be leading to nutrient surplus as well as nutrient efficiency in the human populations or the Indian populations. And environmentally, it will be leading to the ecosystem benefits. The ecosystem, it will strengthen the ecosystem health. So that is what the economical as well as the social and then environmental benefit of the nutrient based subsidies above. And in that, government is trying to bring the NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus as well as potash in the ratio of 4:2:1. And then if the fertilizer, apart from the combination of these three nutrients, if the farmers have added any kind of additional micronutrients, means they will be getting additional subsidy also, according to the addition of the micronutrients which they have added to the fertilizer. And secondly, instead of blindly giving fertilizer based subsidy, it is having a huge toll on the purse of the government of India. So by giving the subsidy based on the nutrient means, they could able to reduce the subsidy burden, which in turn is reducing the fiscal burden of government of India, so that more amount of money could be saved, which could be utilized for the capital related expenditure and social capital expenditure. So what challenges the nutrient based subsidy faces is, first and foremost, is the leakage as well as corruption. Most of the subsidy being given by the government to the farmers is not reaching the farmers, intended beneficiaries of the scheme. Most of the subsidy have been diverted to other countries, or it has been diverted to the black market, and most of the money is siphoned to other usages. And urea price is still administered by government of India, so that it is keeping the one of the mostly used fertilizer in India outside the nutrient based scheme, so that the demand for the urea is not yet reduced even after introducing the nutrient based subsidy. So these are all the challenges in implementing the nutrient based subsidy. And the Cabinet Committee of Economic Affairs is only, they only will be approving the subsidy related things. And as a part of the Cabinet Committee of Economic Affairs meeting, the government has made the Jamrani Dam, which is present in Uttarakhand, as the part of Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana, which is the ground based irrigation system scheme, which aims to converge the irrigation related expenditure on the one umbrella, under one umbrella, and to increase the cultivable land by increasing the irrigation system. So this is what the scheme is about. So under this scheme, the Jamrani Dam was bought under it. The Jamrani Dam is the multi-purpose project which is present in Uttarakhand, and the dam is going to be constructed near the Jamrani village, which is present across river Gola, which is the tributary of river Ramganga. So this is what the another minute of the Cabinet Committee of Economic Affairs meeting is about. So this is what the overall news in relation to the fertilizer subsidy as well as the Jamrani Dam is about. So what need to be studied further is, we should know about, first and foremost, what are all the schemes for irrigation being implemented. Secondly, we should also know about the agricultural schemes. Thirdly, we should also know about what is minimum support price, and then FRP price, which is being given to the sugarcane. And then we should also know about the PDS system of India. So these are all the other areas which we need to be aware of. China launches new missile submarine. Why this is significant? See, China has launched its nuclear powered guided missile submarine. This guided missile submarine is nothing but the missile which was launched from the submarine will be guided through technological means until it reaches the intended target, and they could able to manipulate or change the direction after the launch of the missile. If the target has been changed when the missile is launched after the launch of the missile, means then the operator of the submarine or those who are responsible for the missile could able to direct the missile for the intended or the changed direction, and the confirmation for it was given by US based Pentagon, the US Defense Headquarters, and it has released a report which the report confirms that China has launched its nuclear power guided missile submarine. And conventionally, the armed submarine was introduced by Soviet Union during Cold War period to target the US aircraft carrier with the help of the cruise missile. See, most of the guided missile will be of cruise missile only. See, in the case of ballistic missile, if the launch is from the ground means, then surely then the destination should also be in the ground only. Such kind of ground to ground based missile, it is called as submarine missile. But in the case of cruise missile, even if it is launched from the ground or if it is launched from the air, it is need not necessary that the target be on the ground. It could be striking on the air itself. Even after the launch from the ground, it could be striking on the air itself. It may, such kind of missile which does not have the functioning of takeoff from the land as well as the landing, striking in the land kind of quality is called as cruise missile. If a missile is as having a kind of quality like taking off from the land and then striking the target on the land, such kind of missile is called as submarine missile. So this is what the basic difference between the submarine as well as cruise missile. And the guided missile which will be launched in the submarine will be mostly of cruise missile only. Why? Because most of the target will not be intended on the ground system. It will be on the air. So, and the different kind of targets whichever is required at that point of time. So Russia is the first country to introduce the armed submarine missile to target the US aircraft carriers with cruise missile. And the cruise missile is nothing but long range precision weapon and jet propelled subsonic speed. And another difference between the ballistic missile as well as cruise missile is ballistic missile initially will be jet propelled. After that, it will not be jet propelled. But in the case of cruise missile, it will be mostly of jet propelled from the starting till its destination. And then it will be flying at low altitude to escape any kind of radar that is present in the along the way. They are capable for long range as well as land and then anti-submarine attacks. So these are all the advantage that nuclear powered guided missile submarine has. So this is what the detail about. It increases the anti-submarine strike attack of the China, which the border countries, but particularly the India army need to be taken, have a look at it, because we need to increase our defense capability as well as the strategic capability because of the increased influence of China in the Southeast Asia as well as South China Sea as well as in the Indian Ocean region. So this is what the news is about. What need to be studied further is we should know about, first and foremost, what is cruise missile. Apart from the difference which I have explained between the cruise missile and ballistic missile, you should know about what are the other details in relation to it. Thirdly, you should also know about the India's nuclear powered submarine. What does it? We should be aware of it. So this is what the analysis in relation to the news is about. Lok Sabha Ethics Committee, its constitution as well as members. The Ethics Committee is the permanent committee. So why it has been used is that the BJP MP has raised allegation against TMC MP for the cash for question, so that the Ethics Committee is going to hear the BJP MP's argument in this case in the upcoming weeks. So that is the reason why the Ethics Committee is being in use. So okay, let's look into the details of the Ethics Committee. The Ethics Committee is nothing but the permanent committee. It is the members of it are appointed by the Speaker for the period of 1 year, and it is headed by the Member of Parliament only. And historically, how the Ethics Committee has been evolved is, we will look into it. During 1996, the presiding officers conference which took place in Delhi, they mooted a suggestion of forming a ethics committee. But only in 1997, the vice president, that is the Rajya Sabha chairman, constituted the ethics committee as the ad hoc committee, and the study, it was formed only at Rajya Sabha only. No, and during 1997 it was not yet formed at Lok Sabha, but the study group of House Committee of Privilege of the Lok Sabha has also recommended the formation of Ethics Committee in the Lok Sabha. But during that time, the Lok Sabha does not take that matter. But only 2000, the Ethics Committee was formed as ad hoc committee by the Speaker GMC Balayogi. And after some years, that is during 2005, the case of cash for query came up before this committee, and because of this committee's recommendation, 6 to 7 MPs were dismissed because of the allegation, because of the proven allegation. And what is the procedure for the complaint is that anyone can complain to the ethics committee through the member of another MP. If the complaint is against an MP, means any member could able to complain against the MP through the another member of parliament, and speaker can refer the matter to the committee if he considers that it has some the issues need to be investigated, and it has potential allegation against the MP. If the speaker is considering like that, means he could able to refer it to the committee, and the committee doesn't entertain complaints based only on the media report. The committee will make inquiry and submit the report to speaker, and in the report itself there will be a provision for half an hour discussion for the committee will be there. So it is once the report is given to the speaker will be taking it to the parliament, and parliament Lok Sabha, after the discussion it will be moving the motion in response to the recommendation given by the committee. So privilege committee, what is the difference between the privilege committee as well as the ethics committee is, see, both committees functions will overlap with each other, but in the case of ethics committee they can take up matters only of misconduct of MPs, not of matters other than the misconduct of member of parliament. But in the case of privilege committee, the works are it will look into matters of serious allegation which have threat for freedom, dignity as well as integrity of the parliament, and they could able to inquire into not only the members of parliament and also other non-MPs who are causing damage to the freedom as well as dignity and integrity of the parliament. So this is what the difference between privilege as well as ethics committees about. So what are all the other areas which we need to be aware of it? First and foremost, we should know about what is parliament, how the parliament functions. Secondly, we should know about what is parliament committee, what are the different types of parliament committees. Thirdly, we should also know about what are all the privilege being given to the members of the parliament. So these are all the other areas which we need to be aware of. Okay, let's have a look into today's practice prelims question. Mentioned here is the today's practice prelims question. Those students, those who are watching the session online, do comment the option point for the question which you are seeing right now on the board. With this, we have reached the end of today's session. Thank you.